How will this story end? It's the only question that has been on everyone's mind regarding the law for almost 10 years. And it's a question that's even more prominent now with the conclusion of the FPE exhibit and the promise of more with the final Clancy chapter coming in 2025. But as we wait for this definitive conclusion, we may have actually already been given the answer. Before I go into this video, I would highly recommend watching this recap before watching this theory. Yeah, I know, it's 42 minutes, and yes, I know this theory video is probably much shorter than that, but quite a bit of the evidence I will bring up originates from the FPE exhibit. If you aren't aware of what happened at the FPE exhibit, or even what that was, it's vital for you to have some form of understanding on it to be able to understand the foundation of this theory. It's firstly important to set the scene on where we're at currently in the lore. As per Paladin Strait, we know Clancy has seemingly been captured by Nico. Thanks to the FPE exhibit, we know from the captured letters that Nico's actions are not part of the expected plan. The bishops were aware of the plan in Paladin Strait, interfering both with the plan for Clancy to take out all of the bishops with a swift Uno reverse card, and with the plan for the citizens from Overcompensate to start a rebellion within the city. So, with such an interesting situation, it's quite difficult to see where this will go. Luckily, the FPE exhibit gives us two routes. It acts as what we call in the literary world a Chekhov's gun, a narrative principle where every element has to be relevant in some way. Within the many letters released during the FPE exhibit, there was a hidden code behind duplicated capital letters. Altogether, it spelled out, we must destroy them or we will become them. And if we become them, we must do better. This sets out the two routes that the ending could take. The Banditos win and destroy the structure of the bishops and vialism, or if the rebels fail to destroy the vialistic structure of Dema that empowers the bishops, they will become those roles of authority but pledge to do better with it. There is actually a compelling amount of evidence for each route, not just the statement of the FPE exhibit itself. For example, within the digital remains, we have images of Dema burning, and the notion of this inferno is repeated throughout merch and in the FPE letters. Some citizens signing out with fire-related terminology, whilst the letters between Carter and Frederick quite literally imply that they're going to teach each other how to manipulate fire to use it as a weapon against the bishops. Meanwhile, we have the Goner lyric of I've got two faces, blurry's the one I'm not, which implies there is a capacity for Clancy to become a bishop, as well as the fact that the rebels have been reclaiming the colour red whilst Clancy also uses the black paint associated with the bishops. That and Keon's cloak was left on a post with a letter to Clancy pinned on it by the bishops. It implies that Clancy will become a bishop. But this leaves a few questions. Firstly, which route is more probable? And secondly, you've seen the title of this video. Both of these results sound pretty positive, so why am I proposing that actually the rebellion cannot and will not win? Well, my hypothesis is that the citizens have it all wrong on who the true enemy of this story actually is, which means they will lose regardless of the route taken. And I also believe I have the answer as to which route is more probable. So, who is the actual enemy of the story? According to the citizens, it's both the bishops and vialism itself, but looking at the evidence presented so far, I don't actually think this is the case. Firstly, vialism is described by Clancy in the I Am Clancy video as a hijacked religion, meaning that it was taken control of by the bishops and transformed for a different purpose. This implies that vialism never used to promote death, and never used to have the purpose of providing the bishops with available vessels to continue existing through. Moreover, in Dema org letter 01807 Moon 01, Clancy tells us that vialism was imposed as mandate, meaning that it wasn't always compulsory in Dema. There was freedom of choice and faith within the city, likely also meaning that at the time it was just a simple religion. It's harder for a large group of people to be so devoted to vialism nowadays if vialism was always that way. The secret would have come out sooner. What about the bishops? They clearly hijacked this religion, so that must make them the antagonists. Well, we have evidence to suggest that, yes, surprisingly, the bishops aren't necessarily this force of evil. Keon's is our first case study. Keon's proves the bishops have the capacity for good. They aren't just these evil manifestations of very real emotions and mental health issues. After all, Keon's benefits from keeping the lie of vialism going. Caring for the citizens and sacrificing himself suggests the bishops aren't quite as shallow as they seem. Moreover, given the historical context surrounding the story of Dema, the bishops being the enemy of the story has never really made a lot of sense. For those who don't know, the bishops are inspired by the real-world mathematician group, the Bourbaki group, also known as Nicholas Bourbaki. They aimed to revolutionize mathematics and improve the subject as a whole, but ultimately became an elitist group that many found suffocating, resulting in many wanting to escape their influence. The latter part of that statement mimics what we see in the story. The influence the bishops have over the populace with their views on vialism becomes suffocating, resulting in people needing to leave the city. Making the bishops the enemy that needs to be destroyed to achieve freedom makes literally no sense when we see A, they have a capacity for good, and B, that they're based off a good but misguided group. Moreover, presenting them in such a way is also dissonant with how Tyler has talked about and approached the subject of mental health. Eradicating internal struggles completely isn't the answer, because we need struggles and challenges to give us purpose in life, to motivate us to keep moving. There needs to be a truce of sorts, not total destruction. Instead, I propose the enemy is actually the cycle that keeps all the characters within this story trapped, keeps them coming back and reenacting these same battles over and over again, much like how the cycle of mental health works. This is why, no matter what route this story takes, the rebellion will never win, because the cycle merely continues, dooming everyone once again. There is proof for this. Firstly, let's look at the route of the rebels becoming the bishops, following the cycle to become exactly like them despite starting out with noble intentions to improve life, do better, like the Bourbaki group, to become the next antagonists for another cycle of Clancy's and Banditos. This era, we see the Banditos reclaiming a lot of bishop-associated imagery. They wear red and black, for example. But even before then, the Banditos themselves have taken a lot of design choice inspiration from the bishops. Torchbearer, for example, mimics the cloaked hood with his hoodie and the black markings on the bishop's face with his bandana. This parallel seems odd, considering the Banditos are meant to be a direct opposite to the bishops, and they quite literally are in every other design aspect but this. And we know that the bishops' costume design is centered around concealing the fact they seize the dead bodies of the citizens by covering their whole bodies and wearing veils over their faces. This almost seems like foreshadowing, bolstered by the rebels taking on red colours, that they will become exactly like the bishops. Aside from taking a leaf out of the bishops' wardrobe, there's also the fact that the Bandito movement is taking on this pseudo-religious behaviour, much like the bishops already have. Clancy wears a stole, a religious garment worn by bishops, and uses religious language within overcompensate. Prodigal son, bless, bow, serve. They're quite literally becoming like the bishops both physically and in mentality, teaching the citizens their ideology that they want them to follow. I also mentioned this in my overcompensate analysis, but the usage of now you pick who you serve essentially pits the bishops and the Bandito movement as two sides the citizens have to pick to serve. Associating the Bandito movement with imagery of subordination and submission presents the movement as basically being very akin to the bishops and vialism, and how the bishops treat the citizens of Dema. The citizens essentially serve the bishops. Why are we using that language for the Bandito movement, which is meant to liberate the people? There's also a lot of evidence that Clancy will become Nico, and the cycle will continue with him as Nico, and that Nico is aware of this. Firstly, the lyrics of Goner state, "I've got two faces, Blurry's the one I'm not." Whilst all the bishops are an aspect of Blurryface, Nico is the designated name of Blurryface himself, as revealed in the 01707 Moon 16 gif. Nico is Blurryface, and thus the Goner lyric implies that Clancy is also Nico, or a part of him at least. Morph actually doubles down on this sentiment, with Nico telling Clancy that he's a copy, both showing that Clancy is a copy of Nico, but also that Nico seems to be actively aware of this. Aside from lyrics, Nico has been shown to be Clancy in several other ways. In the Psy livestream, the intro shows a control panel where the buttons of all the present bishops light up: Lisden, Sakava, and Nico. Given that Lisden and Sakava are present, Nico isn't, Tyler is, and yet the light illuminates, implies that Nico was present because Clancy is Nico. They both use pseudonyms, with Nicholas Bourbaki historically being the collective pseudonym for the Bourbaki group, and Tyler using Clancy as a pseudonym, given that the other bishops refer to him as Tyler during the Psy livestream. Another parallel is that Nico is an exception to the other bishops. He is the only bishop to not have his name constructed by lyrics from Blurryface, and he seems to have more supernatural powers in comparison to the others, straight up levitating off the ground in Paladin Strait. This is much like Clancy, who isn't like other escapees or banditos due to his innate supernatural abilities of being an exception to how seizing works, so much so that Nico keeps an eye on him. In fact, the notion that Nico knows Clancy is an exception, despite in the lore so far not having done anything to confirm that, implies that Nico knows Clancy incredibly well, which feels like another indicator that Nico knows Clancy because they're one and the same. He has been Clancy at some point in the cycle, and has become who he is today through trying to do better. After all, Nico also knows the FPE slogan that successful escapees refer to themselves as with the Banditos. So few, so proud, so emotional. Something which he may have found out by previously being in Tyler's position himself and trying to do better. Then, there's also the route of Dema being destroyed by fire. In this route, the evidence seems to imply that Clancy will die and wake back up in the Heavydirtysoul car, restarting the cycle. The digital remains show Clancy laying down on the floor, an odd image when accompanied by the Inferno of Dema. Heavydirtysoul also seems to establish this principle of a cycle restart after an Inferno. After the car is destroyed in a blaze, Tyler wakes back up again in the pristine car. The most significant piece of evidence from that music video, however, seems to actually be the appearance of Nico. I Am Clancy confirms that Nico is the bishop driving the car in the music video, except he looks different. His cloak is black and there are black flecks floating around him. These flecks look like ash, and the black cloak looks in line with something that has been stained with ash or burned. It looks as though Nico has just come out of a fire. So, there's evidence for both routes. However, there is one piece of evidence that seems to potentially confirm which route Clancy will choose. This evidence is Hometown. Hometown is song 12 on Blurryface, and ever since Trench first revealed to us this world, there have been endless discussions about how Hometown links to it. I'm not even the first person to make a theory about Hometown. Another ClickTuber named No Fun in Dema also made a Hometown theory which you can check out. It's firstly important to detail the links between the lore and Hometown. Be the One to Take Me Home and Show Me the Sun can allude to how Trench has access to more sunny weather, the sun also being associated with the Bandito movement. Tyler himself gets taken home by the torchbearer to see the sun. You can bring the fire, I can bring the bones, refers to the Banditos bringing their torches to fight the Glorious Gone, whilst Tyler brings the bones of Ned's horns to fight the bishops in Paladin Strait. Where we're from, there's no sun, our hometown's in the dark. Dema quite literally has no sun. It's constantly in the dark. The citizens are also in the dark metaphorically, unaware of the truth of vialism. The second verse talks about abandoning the religion you've practiced for generations, abandoning tradition, which citizens like Mara and Janssen discuss in their FPE letters regarding rebellion. Spirits in the dark are waiting could even refer to Nico waiting behind the door in the towers. It's undeniable then that Hometown is linked to the story in some way. How does it tell us the end? Well, the key lyrics to focus on are "You make the fire, my bones will make it grow." Concerning the lore, we're already well aware that the rebels within the city are learning how to harness fire. This translates to the banditos starting the blaze in Dema and Tyler's bones, his body acting as kindling that helps the flames to grow larger. He will die in this revolution. Will win, but not everyone will get out. He will let the wind go quietly and fan the flames, spreading the inferno further around the city. The lyrics aren't the only giveaway though. It's actually the tour visualizer for Hometown in the emotional roadshow tour that proves to us that Dema will burn and that the cycle will restart. That Heavydirtysoul is the beginning and that Hometown is the end of the cycle. These tour visuals have always struck me as slightly odd, because during the bridge it goes from the dotted patterns seen throughout the visuals to a forest. We then see a white rabbit being chased by a red wolf throughout the forest, a direct parallel to the lyric in Heavydirtysoul of death inspires me like a dog inspires a rabbit. And a direct parallel to how throughout this whole entire story, Nico has been hounding Tyler, inspiring him to keep running and keep fighting. Before the rabbit can beat the wolf, successfully getting safely home, the visuals get enveloped in red. It's around this point in the concert where Tyler performs the disappearing trick and reappears on the other side of the venue. It's much like how the story told in Hometown precedes the restart of the cycle in Heavydirtysoul. Tyler is in a state where he may almost win or almost lose, but the fire, red, envelops all before either can win, and then Tyler reappears elsewhere for the cycle to continue, for the shadow to tilt its head at him within the car, for him to end back in his hometown that's in the dark. And that was the theory. I hope you enjoyed. Please do tell me if I sound insane or if I'm actually onto something, because I don't actually know. Like, I really enjoy this script. I think the theory is solid, but at the same token, I could just be suffering with severe sleep deprivation. The line is coming out soon, so maybe hopefully that gives answers and clears things up and confirms or disproves some things. Also, I gotta say, I am so glad this video is like 18 minutes long, 19 minutes long, because I have been doing 25+ minute videos consistently non-stop since the Simone Weil theory, since the vignette analysis, I think. So doing a shorter video is definitely a well-needed breather at this point. Either way, I hope you enjoyed watching, and thank you for watching TØP Debate!